What is an approach to language? An approach to language teaching may refer to our view of language, and our view of how language learning takes place. We may think, for example, that language is a set of grammar rules, and that language learning takes place by learning those rules and using them to work out the meaning of text through translation. Sometimes approaches also refer to the ways or methods of teaching that we use in the classroom and that are based on these views. The terms approaches and methods, especially in the TKT, are used interchangeably to refer to views of language learning and the classroom practices. Hence, an approach to language teaching refers to the view of language and how language learning takes place, also the ways or methods of teaching that are used in a classroom. In this unit there are two approaches and some typical features of them. The first one is the structural approach, which its main focus is on communication through a system of structures, and the language is learnt by controlled practice of simple and then more complicated structures, but mistakes should be avoided. Oral skills are learnt before learning to write. The second approach is the TBL, task-based learning. This one focuses on the use of functions, vocabulary structures and discourse as a tool for communicating meaning, so language is learnt by seeing it. Classroom activities are based on problem-solving tasks. Other approaches to teaching which have influenced on the English language were also learned in this unit. Here they are and their characteristics. Presentation, practice and production, PPP, grammatical structures and functions are the most important aspect. Language is learned first by seeing it in meaningful context and then with guided practice. There must be the presentation stage in which the grammar of function is presented, then students practice, and finally they produce something new by themselves. Group work is more useful. Another approach is the lexical approach, in which the most important aspect is vocabulary as individual words or chunks, which must be noticed by the learner. They will be collocations, idioms, fixed expressions. The functional approach, functions are the most important aspect. As for PPP, the functions are graded according to the frequency of use in real context according to needs of communication the learners have. Grammar translation, language is made up of grammatical rules which must be analyzed and applied in order to be learned. Lists of words are learnt by heart. Total physical response, TPR, the most important aspects are grammatical rules and vocabulary to which learners must be exposed to in order to comprehend the language. Guided discovery, in this approach learners have to investigate things by themselves through patterns of meaning and rules the target language. Content-based learning, its view of language is on grammatical, lexica, functional areas and skills in which interesting and topics that help learners increase their knowledge of the world are the best way to learn the language. Content and language integrated learning, CLIL, language serves to communicate meaning, so all aspects help communicating meaning. The language needs to be acquired and used. As we can see, there are many different approaches which vary in their view of language, but each of them have at least one positive things. Therefore nowadays teachers do not use only one approach but an eclectic approach, which is the mix and match approach, in which some techniques from different approaches work together. Furthermore, it is important that in a real language teaching situation the teacher is aware of the different learning styles that learners have in order to adapt the best approach for all the learners, taking into account also the age, the level of English, the motivation and the expectations of learning, previous learning experience and the resources students have.